Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. I thought it was interesting, one of my friends asked me, what does it mean when you give a wine an A? I never got to finish it. We were having dinner and talking, and I don't know why he didn't really want me to explain it. But, you know, my thing with the A through F system, and it might sound alien because you guys are so used to points. I know that you're used to points. But I wouldn't call him a friend, but an acquaintance of mine, Joe Roberts, One Wine Dude. I'll link up his website on here. He doesn't need any of my help, trust me. Interesting guy. He uses the A through F system, and I thought, you know, I know like Eric Asimov uses, I think 4-star, 5-star, I think it's 4 stars. But one of the, not a criticism, one of the things I think Joe Roberts did wrong was he actually equated his grades to points. He does it on his website. So basically he's using a point system with an A through F system, which is fine. You know, it's his, he created it. I think it's more, the reason I do it is it's more subjective. I remember, and I had a discussion with Joe about this. When I was in school, sometimes I got an A because the teacher liked me. It wasn't always because I did A work. It was because I worked hard, and maybe I didn't always turn in or get A's on my tests, but in the end, the teacher decided that because of my effort, because of the way I did things, that an A was appropriate. So I think that's why I started thinking about the A through F system. In other words, when I taste an A wine that I give an A, a lot of it has to do with the fact that I like it, but it also has a lot to do with the fact that that wine is achieving something beyond the price perhaps, beyond the label, beyond whatever, beyond other wines that I've tasted very similar. Like you can have a student that gets all aces all their tests, but they're very lazy. Maybe the teacher doesn't give them an A, a full A, maybe they go A minus. Or they give them an A reluctantly because they know, well, they did this, that, and that. Like a formula for a 100-point wine. And I think the A, giving a wine an A just means that that wine has achieved a level perhaps beyond its price, perhaps beyond expectations. Perhaps it's just what I consider what a wine should be in that varietal. And I do agree with Sean Sullivan. He said, well, you know, we try to separate ourselves from what we like and dislike. You can't totally do that. I mean, honestly, we cannot totally do that. I would disagree with any critic that says they can divorce themselves from their own palate. It's very hard to do, very difficult. And so I recognize that, and you know, I realize that there are some wines perhaps that I like, a style that I like, and that could influence to a degree my grade that I give it. But overall, I think what I try to do is see, well, is this wine achieving beyond what you would expect from this varietal, from this price point, etc., etc. And it might get an A, A minus, B, B plus. Those are all great grades. I know many children in school would have loved to graduated with a B average. So, you know, when you start getting a C, that's an average wine. In other words, it's the wine that reaches the expectations of that varietal, but yet at the same time doesn't go beyond that. And I think that's important to note. You go C minus, D plus. I don't give a lot of those out. This day and age, winemaking has become so dialed in, and there's so many different technologies that people can use that it's really hard to find a wine that's flawed enough to give that grade. I have found them, and basically what that means is really don't waste your money on that wine. It really doesn't achieve anything. But once again, and we always have to remember this, it's your palate. What you like, you know, you can't let anybody influence you, even me, in what you like. And it doesn't matter if it's Pinot Grigio or White Zinfandel, whatever it is, if that's what you like, then that is just absolutely fine with me and should be with anybody else. I will never criticize anybody for liking those wines as long as they are willing to try something else. I think that's really the key, is the willingness to at least try something else. And that's what leads us into this program. You know, it's funny, we had such a great summer here in the San Juan Islands. I mean, beautiful, beautiful summer. And then all of a sudden, September, it just, I mean, it was beautiful yesterday. It was nice the day before. It was beautiful on Saturday, and now it's kind of cloudy and rainy. We've had a lot of rain since the beginning of September. Interesting. When that starts happening, as wine drinkers, we tend to shift a little bit in our palate preferences. You know, I never gravitate away from whites. I always think they have their place, especially like them, and I know this might sound weird to you, I like them when I cook. I really like to use white wines while I'm cooking. I did last night. I had a really nice Soave, actually. I really liked it a lot. But as far as trying new things, I know it's hard as a wine consumer, as a customer, coming into a store and seeing a stack of something like this, like Grillo from Sicily, and thinking, wow, am I going to really spend 13 bucks on that? And that's really the hard part, is are you willing to open the wallet and bust out 13 bucks to try something you've never tried before? Hopefully you have a wine steward that you trust. I know a lot of people in the store that I am at do put a lot of trust in me, and I take that very seriously. But you may not have that. You may walk into a Safeway, some other wine, you know, a Costco where they don't have a wine store, and you're just depending on signs and scores and all that stuff, and you may be uncomfortable trying something new. And that's understandable for money. So that's a big part of what this show is about, is trying to help you find wines. At least I can review them so you can understand what you're getting, and hopefully it's enough to give you confidence to go out and buy that wine. Yep. That's my spiel for this episode, and hopefully you understand the A through F system a little bit better as far as I use it. So going back to the weather change, people's palates change. A lot of people, and maybe this is true of you, and you can make a comment, do you gravitate maybe towards more European wines as the weather gets a little bit cooler, perhaps in the fall? I know Italy is a place a lot of people go. They like Italian wines. You know, we think of Tuscany, Chianti, we think of Barbera, those types of wines. People really like those wines, and they go towards those. But Sicily has become, the island of Sicily has become a very popular place. In fact, you know, weird thing about the wine world, and I've experienced this many times, you know, working in the wine department, all of a sudden people start asking for a specific style of wine that they never asked for before. Lately people have been asking me for Sicilian whites. Now I don't have a lot of them in the store. It's really difficult stocking a store, people coming in, you're trying to figure out what best mix to have. I have one Sicilian white. Well, that's got to change. And sometimes I don't see those holes until people start asking me about wines. So the first one we're going to jump into is a Grillo from Vento di Mar. It's from Sicily, Terra Sicilia, Sicilian, which is the general appellation of Sicily. It's an IGT, which is the not the upper, it's not a DOC, the upper scale. That all doesn't matter that much to you. What you care about is whether the wine is good. This rolls in at $13. Now Grillo is the grape, and it's used a lot in Marsala. You may be familiar with Marsala. A lot of people use Marsala in cooking. So this is the main grape of Marsala, but they've done a good job of making it into a varietally, what am I trying to say? A single varietal wine. This is a 2013, $13. And again, have you ever tried a Grillo? Is that something that you would buy when you walked in the store if there wasn't somebody there to direct you to it, or, you know, a sign on the wine and you trusted that person that's reviewing it? You know, by the way, and this is just a little tip. Oh, I better show the label. You guys probably want to see this. Okay, there you go. Just a little tip, when you're reading the back label, be careful. A lot of the wineries, winemakers, or whoever's doing it, you know, they're not very accurate. Of course, they love the wine, and it's their wine. They're trying to promote it, so you got to take that into consideration. Let's see what we get on the nose. A lot of melon and wet stone. I love the wet stone part. I get a little white flower component coming through, which I like. A little dusty, that wet stone with a little dust and melon and a little hint of citrus, more on the lemon side. I even get a little, just a hint of cut grass. Let's see what we get on the palate. I think a lot of you are going to like this wine. It's very round on the palate. It's not, it's got like this melon with just a little honey without the sweetness of the honey, almost the viscosity of honey. It reminds me a little bit of a Torrontés from Argentina in that sense of the palate weight on the mouth. The whetstone, the melon for sure come through, the white flowers. It's almost as if you licked a rock out of the riverbed. Okay, not some rock off the street. Out of the riverbed, you licked a rock, took a bite of melon, munched on some white flowers, and you hit the leaf just a little bit so you get that cut grass. And there's minerality on this like crazy, but the mid-palate is so round and so nice and smooth. This is a smooth white wine. This would be great with chicken. I mean, I would have this with chicken, with halibut all day, any sort of whitefish. This would be a beauty. Like this wine. I mean, it's not super complex. I mean, I'm not getting a lot of complexity, although I shouldn't say that totally, because you are getting the whetstone, the melon, all that stuff. But it's very, very smooth. Finish is just a hair thin, mostly minerally, but very kind of thin. But I like it. I think it's a very good wine. I think it's very diverse. I think you could have this with clams, oysters, whitefish, fowl. You know, with a lot of different things. It kind of reminds me of a cross between, let's say, a Torrontés from Argentina and a something real minerally. Maybe a Sancerre. It's got the roundness and the minerality, but not the acidity. The acidity is fairly low on this wine, but not terrible. I think you could have it with shellfish, so there's enough there. I'm going to go B- on that wine. I like it. I think a lot of you will like it. For 13 bucks, I think it's a good, you know, you could experiment with that and give it a try. Vento di Mar Grillo. I have to bring some of that in the store. Like it a lot. Let's move on. So we're doing a line of Vento, then I'm going up a few notches with another wine from Sicily. This is Vento di Mar Nerello Mascalese. There you go. That's the name of the grape. Terra Sicilian. This is an IGT wine, and this rolls in at $13. So all these wines from Vento are line priced, or they're all the same price. That's what line price means in our vernacular. Okay, there you go. So the name comes from Nerello. It's a really black, dark-skinned grape. And Mascalese, it's named after the Mascali Valley. I think that's right. Mascali Valley that lies between Mount Etna and the coast. So that's where it gets its name. And what other things do I know about this grape? It has a parent. It is related to Sangiovese, if that's any help to you. Let's see what we get on the nose. Interesting. Wow, it's like old boards meets dark cherries and currant. With a little soapy, perfumey soapiness going on. I get a little bit of licorice. There's a hint of tobacco underneath. It's an interesting nose. I like it. I like that old board component. You know, like you walk into an old shed that's very dry. There's no humidity, and you get that old board smell. Have you ever been in a shed like that? My grandfather used to have a shed like that, and I used to go in there, and I love the smell. And it has a little leather, so you get that leather, tobacco, currants, cherries, leather. Old wood, kind of like, more like the old wood, like, I remember my grandfather, I guess this is the smell I'm remembering, this is where it's coming back to me. My grandfather always had lots of firewood cut up, and you got into the part where it was been cut up for a couple of years, the old fir, and it's really dry, but it's still good firewood, of course. And you got that smell, and I love that smell all the time when I was a kid. I love the smell of aged firewood. There you go. Let's see what we get on the palate. Nice wine. Wow. The first thing that came to my mind when I put it in my mouth was like rose petals, wilted rose petals. But then the cherries come through really nicely, kind of support that. And right on the back side of this wine, I get a little bit of white pepper. This is a cool wine. This is like a kind of wants to go rustic, but it doesn't go rustic. It kind of stays in that like middle line where it's like, okay, this could be a real rustic kind of country boy wine, but it has enough cherry and fruits. The leather, the tobacco all come through, the red flowers. Nicely balanced with the acid. And right on the middle palate, you get that kind of like a darker fruit, like the currants come through. And then it finishes with a nice minerality, which I know a lot of you guys are going to like. I can think about, 25 customers right at the top of my head that would love this wine. Even though it shows a little bit of fruit, it has enough acid, the flower component, the minerality, it really makes for a nice wine. Now, remember I said about my grading system, I have not tasted a lot of Nerello Mascaleses. I'm not sure if this might not be the first one I've tried. In all the years I've been in the wine business, it always amazes me something comes up that I haven't tried yet. I may have tried it and didn't think about it. I'm sure I have it on wine tasting. But what I'm trying to say is my measure against other Nerello Mascaleses is very narrow. All I know is what I'm tasting right now. Compared to other ones, I don't know. I don't have anything to really compare it to. But I'm saying this is a B+, A- wine. For $13, you're getting a lot of stuff coming out of this wine. You're getting a lot of interesting components. It's not super fat thin, but I don't think it's supposed to be. I think the style, I think it hits stylistically. I think this is the way it's supposed to be. I just have a gut feeling that that's the way this wine should be. Nice wine. Good mid-palate, good flow, enough to keep New World wine lovers interested, but enough Old World action to keep you Old World wine lovers. Now, I'm going to fly with that one. I think that's a very good wine. Really do. I'm going to go B+, A-. Wow. Nice. Liking these wines so far. Vento de Mar, Nero de Avola. Again, Terra Siciliani. And this is IGT wine also. It rolls in at $13. It's 2013. The other one was 2013 now. A lot of you may be familiar with Nero di Avola. This seems to be a grape that many people are becoming more and more aware of. There's a lot of good ones out there. And I have a lot of success with Nero di Avola at the store. This is one of those grapes that people are actually starting, to trust and know. And they're excited about them. I think I'm going to probably roll these at about $11 at the store. So for you homies that are watching, I think this is going to be $11. They have we call it a QDA, Quantity Discount Allowance. Now, some of these stores buy pallets and pallets and pallets, and they negotiate the pricing and do all that stuff. I'm not there. Sorry, can't do that. Wish I could, but I can't. But, the QDA on this is pretty low, so I could go $11. So, Nero di Avola. Let's see what we get on the nose. Dusty leather. I mean, it's like somebody threw their wallet on the ground, it got a little bit wet, and the guy had a little bit of tobacco to roll his cigarettes in the wallet. With a little, you know, splash of currants coming through, a little bit of licorice, a little bit of rose petal. I'm getting a lot of that, and just the minerality coming through big time on the nose. So let's see what we get on the palate. Kind of excited. Good lineup of wines. One of the reasons Nero d'Avola is so successful with a lot of the people today is it is definitely more fruit forward. It's not nowhere near goopy. It has good underlying acidity, but really nice ripe currants blended with really deep dark rose petal, a little bit of leather coming through, not a lot of leather. And right at the end, what's really cool about this wine, what really excites me about this wine is the white pepper on the backside. And if you've watched, I mean, 230 some episodes, almost 240. I'm hoping to do 250 with Mike Sheridan, a good friend of mine. He's done a few shoots with me. I'm hoping to do that. I haven't been able to connect with him. He's been very busy this summer. Shout out to Mike's Wine Bar and Cafe in San Juan on Friday Harbor. He's done a really good job with that place. Very popular this summer. I've watched it grow. It's right behind where I work. I get off of work and I see all the people there. Shout out to Mike. He's come a long way. He's doing a good job. Back to the Nero d'Avola. It's very polished. The tannins are very polished. Get a little bit of black licorice, more the natural black licorice right on the backside. You get a little candy action. Not a lot, just a little bit. You know, this is a really good introductory wine to Sicilian wines. Nero d'Avola, it's, you know, you can get it probably for $11 in a lot of places. $13 is a regular price, which is nothing really for this quality of wine. Actually enough acid that my mouth is actually, I'm actually salivating a little bit. Now I have tasted a fair amount of Nero d'Avola. This is a little thinner than some I've tasted, but at the price point and for what you're getting, and if you want to be introduced to Nero d'Avola from Sicily, this is a good introductory Nero d'Avola. I'm going to go B- on this. B. I'm going to go B, B-, B minus B, however you want to look at it. It's a good wine, way above average. Yeah, $13, $11, whatever. Now, funky bottle. Cas Nero di Lupo. This is an IGP also from Sicily. This is Nero d'Avola 2013. Weird bottle. I don't even know where to point it. This rolls in at 33 bones. $33, baby. Now I start really looking seriously at a wine when it goes over the $20 mark. Hey, I work hard for my money. We all do, right? I don't have a ton of it. And even if I did have a ton of it, you start getting over $30, you start, you know, really looking at it with a critical eye. Wow. Actually, that's a mistake. I'm going to step back from that a little bit. Over $30, a lot of people think twice about spending their money. That's what I'm trying to say. So we're going to take a look at this and see if it delivers for that price. It's not expensive. $33, if it's a good wine, is not expensive if you think about it. Many people drop $70, $80 on Napa Cabs. They drop, you know, $40, $50 on Bordeaux from France, and those are the low-end Bordeaux. Don't get me wrong. They'll easily drop $35 on a Pinot from Willamette Valley. So again, $33 is not a lot of money. I'm just saying, my radar kind of goes, wow, a $33 Nero d'Avola. I have not had those recently. So let's see what we get on the nose. I'm kind of excited about this. Good color, not really deep. It's deep color, but it's fairly transparent. Stinky right off the bat. It reminds me of a rabbit hutch, but not fresh rabbit poop, more of just a dried rabbit crap. Yeah, a little, but not barnyardy. Just that kind of like, you know they have rabbits. You came around the corner, you know, you can just smell it, along with the rabbit pellets. You got to have that part thrown in there too. The stuff you feed the rabbits, a little hard pellets. A lot of leather, worn leather. This reminds me, you walked into a horse is sitting in the barn, and right on either side of them are a couple of rabbit hutches that have, you know, the rabbits are out, the owner took them somewhere else, and these are the rabbit hutches left over. They've been empty for a while. That's what I'm getting. And you can smell the saddle. Like the saddle, the owners had the saddle for like 8 years. You know, that's the smell you get. Get a little bit of bark coming through. And of course, cherries, dark cherries. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very interesting nose. I love those kind of noses. You might think, well, that sounds really weird. It's not as weird as it sounds. I mean, you got to kind of be true to what you're smelling, and that's what I smell. Always not. There's only one wine in my entire career that it smelled like poop and tasted like poop. Most of the wines that have that smell don't taste like that. Just saying. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very interesting wine. I almost get like this menthol sort of thing, front to back. It just kept hitting over and over. Almost reminded me a little bit of eucalyptus, but not quite eucalyptus. Just minty. I mean, it's like somebody took some minty toothpaste and mixed it up with a little bit of pomegranate and cherries. That's what I'm getting on the palate, which is kind of curious. What did I say? This was a 2013. It's a baby. That's what I'm going to say. This is a baby. It shows a lot of finesse. I mean, this is like the mintiness, the acidity is there, and the pomegranate kind of cherry, red cherries, not like the nose, red cherries coming through. A lot of like a minerality, but not like dusty rocks, more like just, it's vaguely there, like crushed rock, just a little bit. I really don't know how to read this wine. I see where it might be going. It's 33 bucks. It's a little, well, actually it's quite thin on the finish. And I'm not sure, I know about elegant finishes. I know how, you know, we all know how Pinots should finish, you know, if they're made in the Burgundy, we know how Burgundy should finish. This actually finishes really thin. I like the mid palate. I like some elements of the finish. I maybe can get a little cola action coming through. A lot of minerality. The cherries kind of linger. I even get that kind of a stinky leather thing kind of coming through. 33 bucks though. I'm not sure if a lot of you will understand this. I'm going to go C+, B-. I think it fails on the finish quite a bit. I think there's a lot of elements that are very good that make it above average. I'd like to see this wine in another 5 years, but that finish is really thin. That kind of scares me. If I had 33 bones, I would not waste it on this wine. I'm going to go C+, solid C+ on this wine. Thanks for watching. And remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Drink it. enjoy it. Be willing to try new things. Try a Grillo, try a Nerello, Mascalese. Don't ever get stuck in a rut, but never let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like, and if you do that, we can take the snob out of wine.